Family betrayal. When the person you trust most says no. Have you ever had that moment when the person you trust most in the world just says no? When the one person you thought would always be there for you suddenly isn't? Today, I'm going to share with you one of the most painful experiences of my life. A story about family, trust, and what happens when the people we love the most let us down in ways we never saw coming. This isn't just my story. This is a story that thousands of you have lived through in your own ways. And if you stick with me for the next hour, I promise you'll walk away with insights that could change how you handle family relationships forever. But first, let me ask you something. Hit the like button if you've ever felt betrayed by someone you loved. And if you haven't already, subscribe and ring that. Chapter 1. To understand betrayal, you first have to understand trust. And to understand my story, you need to know about my sister. Picture this. A relationship spanning 5 decades. 50 years. That's longer than many marriages last. My sister wasn't just my sibling. She was my anchor, my safe harbor in every storm life threw at me. She's 10 years older than me, which meant that when our mother had to work, she became my protector, my second mother. While other kids had babysitters, I had my sister. While other families struggled with sibling rivalry, we shared our deepest, darkest secrets. You know those relationships where you don't have to explain yourself? Where the other person just gets it? That was us. When her husband died unexpectedly, and let me tell you, that's a story that could break your heart, I was her anchor. When I faced my darkest moments, she was my lighthouse. We were more than sisters. We were each other's emergency contacts, not just on forums, but in life. The kind of people you call at 2 a.m. when your world is falling apart. The kind of people who don't ask questions first, they just show up. Take a moment right now and think about that person in your life. We all have one, right? That one person who you thought would never, ever let you down. Drop a comment and tell me who that person is for you. I'll read every single one. But here's what I learned the hard way. Even the strongest foundations can crack when pressure is applied in just the right way. The numbers don't add up. They never add up. And then you start looking at your options. Option 1. Find a new job immediately. If only it were that simple. Option 2. Drastically cut expenses. Already living as cheaply as possible. Option 3. Ask for help from the people who love you. That third option. That's the hardest one, isn't it? Because asking for help means admitting you can't handle it on your own. It means being vulnerable. It means potentially changing the dynamic of relationships you've cherished for decades. How many of you have been in this position, where you've had to swallow your pride and ask for help from family? It's one of the hardest things we ever have to do as adults. If you've been there, I see you. I understand. But when you have that one person, that sister, that anchor, that safe harbor, asking doesn't feel quite so scary. Because you know they love you. You know they'd do anything for you. You know that if the situation were reversed, you'd say yes without hesitation. So I picked up the phone. Chapter 3. Let me paint you a picture of that phone call. I had rehearsed it in my head a dozen times. I knew exactly what I was going to say. Hey, sis, I know this isn't ideal, but I lost my job, and I'm wondering if I could crash with you and boyfriend's name for a few weeks while I get back on my feet. Just temporarily. Just until I find something new. Simple, right? Straightforward, honest. Between two people who had been there for each other through everything life had thrown at us for 50 years. I expected questions. I expected concern. Maybe some logistics talk. Where would I sleep? How long did I think it would take to find work? That sort of thing. What I got was silence. Not the thoughtful kind of silence where someone is considering your request. The heavy kind. The kind that makes your stomach drop before you even know why. And then, just 2 words. I can't. Not, I can't right now. Not, let me think about it. Not, let me talk to boyfriend first. Just, I can't. Have you ever had one of those moments where time seems to stop? Where you hear something so unexpected that your brain just freezes? That's what happened to me in that moment. I think I said something like, oh, okay. Because what do you say to that? How do you respond when the person you trust most in the world, the person who has never said no to you before, suddenly draws a line in the sand? We said goodbye awkwardly. I hung up the phone and just sat there in my empty apartment, trying to process what had just happened. Chapter 4. The Betrayal. Betrayal is a funny thing. It doesn't hit you all at once like anger does. It seeps in slowly, like water through a crack in a dam. First came the confusion. Had I misunderstood our relationship all these years? Had I been naive to think that love meant showing up when things got tough? Then came the hurt, the deep, aching hurt that sits in your chest and makes it hard to breathe. This wasn't just rejection. This was rejection from the one person who was supposed to be my safety net. And then came the anger. Oh, the anger. How dare she? After everything we'd been through together? After all the times I'd been there for her? After 50 years of being sisters, of being best friends, of being each other's emergency contacts? I spent days, no, weeks, replaying every conversation we'd ever had. Looking for signs I might have missed. Wondering if I'd taken her for granted. Wondering if I'd been a burden all these years without realizing it. This is the part where I want you to really think about your own experiences. Because betrayal, it's not just about what someone does to you. It's about how it makes you question everything you thought you knew about yourself and your relationships. I cried. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I cried more nights than I care to count, lying in my bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to understand how the person I loved most in the world could just abandon me. Because that's what it felt like. Abandonment, like she had looked at me in my moment of greatest need and decided I wasn't worth the inconvenience. But here's the thing about betrayal, and this is important, so pay attention. It forces you to confront some hard truths. Not just about the other person, but about yourself. I had to ask myself some difficult questions. Had I been taking this relationship for granted? Had I built up expectations that weren't fair? Was I seeing this situation clearly, or was my pain clouding my judgment? And most importantly, was I ready to throw away 50 years of love over one moment of disappointment? Chapter 5. After the initial shock wore off, I started thinking like a detective. Because something didn't add up. This wasn't the sister I knew. This wasn't how she operated. There had to be more to the story. And then it hit me. The boyfriend. Now, I want to be clear here, this isn't about vilifying anyone. This is about understanding human dynamics and the complex ways relationships intersect and influence each other. My sister's boyfriend and I, we weren't enemies, but we weren't friends either. You know that feeling when someone is perfectly polite to you, but you can sense they'd rather you not be around? That was our dynamic. Think about it from his perspective. He's living with the woman he loves, they've built a life together, and suddenly her sister, someone he doesn't particularly enjoy being around, wants to move in. Even temporarily. From his point of view, I was an intrusion. A disruption to the life they'd built together. And my sister, she was caught in the middle. How many of you have been in a situation where you've had to choose between family and a romantic partner? Or where you've been the partner watching your significant other's family dynamics play out? It's complicated, isn't it? This realization changed everything for me. It didn't make the hurt go away, not immediately, but it gave me context. It helped me understand that her no wasn't about not loving me. It was about protecting her relationship. Was it the right choice? That's not for me to judge. But understanding her motivation helped me move from a place of betrayal to a place of, well, complicated understanding. Did you know emus and kangaroos cannot walk backward? Chapter 6. The grieving process. You know what nobody tells you about relationship betrayal? You have to grieve it like a death. Because in a way, something did die, the version of that relationship you thought you had. I went through all the classic stages of grief, just like the textbooks say. Denial. This isn't really happening. She'll call back and explain. There's been some misunderstanding. Anger. How could she do this to me? After everything we've been through? Bargaining. Maybe if I explain the situation better. Maybe if I promise it'll only be for a week. Depression. I've lost my job and my sister. What's the point of anything anymore? And finally, acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean you're okay with what happened. It doesn't mean you're not still hurt. It means you've stopped fighting reality and started dealing with it. If you're going through your own family drama right now, I want you to know that it's okay to grieve. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel all the feelings. Don't let anyone rush you through this process. The acceptance phase was where I had to make some hard decisions. 1. Was I going to let this destroy our relationship entirely? 2. Was I going to hold on to resentment and let it poison my heart? 3. Or was I going to find a way to love my sister within new boundaries? I chose option 3, not because it was easy, but because 50 years of love doesn't disappear because of one painful moment. The new normal. Rebuilding a relationship after betrayal is like learning to walk again after an injury. Everything you used to do automatically now requires conscious thought and careful navigation. I had to completely recalibrate my expectations. My sister wasn't going to be my emergency contact anymore, not in the way she used to be. Our relationship now had a third party involved, and I had to respect that reality. Did it hurt? Absolutely. But it was also liberating in a strange way. Because now I knew exactly where I stood. There were no more assumptions, no more unspoken expectations. Just the clear boundaries of what our relationship could and couldn't be. We still talk on the phone, though not as regularly as before. We still care about each other deeply. We still share the history of 50 years together. But now our relationship exists within the context of her life choices, and I've made peace with that. This is the part where I want to ask you, have you ever had to rebuild a relationship after disappointment? It's not about going back to the way things were. It's about creating something new that works for who you both are now. What I've learned is that love isn't about someone always saying yes to you. Real love is about understanding that people have their own lives, their own priorities, their own limitations, and loving them anyway. My sister didn't betray me because she stopped loving me. She made a choice that prioritized her relationship over my needs in that moment. And while it hurt, I can understand it. The woman who would have automatically said yes to me 10 years ago doesn't exist anymore. Not because she's a different person, but because she's in a different life situation. And the woman asking for help, me, I'm different too. I've learned to be more self-reliant, to have multiple safety nets instead of just one. We've both evolved, and our relationship has evolved too. Chapter 8, Closing Reflection. So here we are, nearly an hour later, and I want to leave you with some thoughts that I hope will help if you're dealing with your own family betrayal. First, people are allowed to change, even the people we love most. Fighting that change will only hurt you. Second, understanding someone's motivation doesn't mean you have to agree with their choices, but it can help you heal from them. Third, you get to decide what relationships are worth rebuilding and which ones aren't. Not every betrayal has to end in forgiveness, but some are worth working through. And finally, sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is disappointing you in a way that forces you to become more self-reliant. My relationship with my sister isn't what it used to be, but it's something. And after everything we've been through together, something is better than nothing. I want to hear from you. What family relationships in your life have changed? How did you handle it? What would you do differently? Share your stories in the comments. I read every single one, and your experiences might help someone else who's going through this right now. Don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe for more real talk about family and relationships, and ring that notification bell so you never miss when I share these deeper stories. Until next time, remember, families are complicated, love is messy, but healing is always possible if you're willing to do the work. Thanks for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next one.